I'm already a millionaire in my mind. I don't see it yet, but I believe it now. In the same way a seed is called by its finished form, I'm accepting my divine inheritance as a child of God. I'm meant to have life and have it more abundantly. My treasure on earth shall correspond directly to the treasure in the heaven of my mind. Abundance is my birthright. Ashe, amen, and so it is. My name is Julian Gordon, and I'm author of Rich and Righteous: Spiritual Secrets to Mastering Money, Manifestation, and Your Mind. After becoming a multimillionaire through real estate investing, I was moved by God at the beginning of the pandemic to share my money mindset that allowed me to quit my job in January of 2009 at the bottom of the last recession and achieve full financial freedom. I own my mental real estate before I own any physical real estate. This book is like some of your favorites: Rich Dad, Poor Dad, As a Man Thinketh, Think and Grow Rich, and the Bible all in one. But the divine downloads and thoughts that are in here are 100% original and came for a 6-month period at the beginning of the pandemic. This book is normally $100 on Amazon if you went there right now, but I want to give you access to it for free by inviting you to our next reading group. Yes, the reading group is 100% free. Every weekday for 100 days straight, I'll be reading and discussing the 10 money commandments in the book that make money come to you in your life easily, more frequently, and abundantly. And it will take about 30 to 45 minutes as we read 3 to 5 pages per day until we finish the book and reprogram your mind around money. Why 100 days? Well, if you are 30 years old, you've lived for 10,950 days. And we have to deprogram and reprogram the negative, scarcity-based money mindset society has taught you. And I believe I can do that in just 1% of the time in about 100 days. I'm done with shelf help. You know, when you buy a book to change your life, but you never read it, it just sits on your bookshelf and collects a whole bunch of dust. We off that. When is the last time you had an author actually read their book to you out loud because they cared about you getting the information in your soul? I'm not just here to get this book in your hands. More importantly, I want to get it in your head and your heart, because that's where the real transformation occurs, in the conscious and the subconscious mind. As scripture says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. This is not the type of book that you just read once. To renew the subconscious mind requires repetition over and over and over. So if you joined us last time, I encourage you to join us again. I myself have read this book over 10 times already. So click the link to join our next reading group, and when you sign up, I'm going to give you the first 2 chapters of the book for absolutely free on what is money and abundance is your birthright, so that you can start your journey to a more abundant life today.
What's good, everybody? This is your boy Thavian, and welcome to another day of the reading of the Rich and Righteous. This is a 100-day challenge. To all my new people, you was led to this page for a reason. To all my return readers, you already know what it is. We have been reading this book consistently during this challenge. We are on day 57 of the reading of the Rich and Righteous. For all my new people that just tapped in, welcome. I appreciate you. Go ahead and click the link below in the description section of the post so you can order you a book. Also, subscribe to the YouTube page. That way you can receive notifications and alerts on future readings that we have coming up. We have a playlist set up so you can go ahead and watch the previous readings. We're on day 57 now, and there are 56 days of content that you can get caught up on. This book is going to be very valuable to you even when this challenge is over. So make sure you click the link below so you can go ahead and order you a book. And we're going to go ahead and get started with day 57. Julian will be discussing receiving is a skill. Receiving is a skill. We're still in money commandment number 9. There are 10 money commandments, and we're in money commandment number 9. Money commandment number 9 is all about how the rich and righteous attract money. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get day 57 started. Julian is going to go ahead and kick off the reading. Receiving is a skill. Let's go.
All right. So receiving is a skill. Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. That's Mark 11:24. If you are not receiving all the desires in your life, you likely have a receiving problem, not a giving problem. Luke 6:38 demonstrates this universal law of giving and receiving when it says, give and you will receive. It doesn't say give and you might receive. It says give and you will receive. It's a cause and effect relationship. Your gift will return to you in full, pressed down, shaken together to make room for more, running over and poured into your lap. The amount you give will determine the amount you get back. And so we see this word room again. We saw that word where your gifts make a room for you, right? So what are we giving? We're giving our gifts. Our gifts make room for us, right? So many people are overgivers. Overgivers. How many overgivers I got here? I know I've been an overgiver in so many different environments, work environments, and relationships where it wasn't balanced, and it just leads to burnout and codependency. And so and it actually disempowers the person or entity that we're giving to when we overgive. There always has to be balance. We always want to find balance. So many people are overgivers, and that is what keeps them poor financially. They believe that as they give, they shall receive. So they keep giving more and more, but they don't realize that they must be open to receive, right? So when you give, don't just shut your hand. You give and you keep your hand open, right, to receive something back, right? But again, we don't give to receive. Receiving is not the intention of our giving, but we must keep the universal law active by being willing to receive back. And some of us just aren't willing to receive back. We've created a ton of value in the world. We've blessed so many other people, and we just haven't been willing to receive back. It's not that people or God through other people don't want to give to us. It's that we haven't been willing, because we have this thing about us that we like to have a one-up on other people by having given them more than we've actually received back. That gives us some sort of imbalanced hit. It gives us an imbalanced hit, right? Like it feels good to kind of be the one who gave more, right? So we have to work on that. So they believe that as they give, they shall receive. So they keep giving more and more, but they don't realize that they must also be open to receive. You tithe at church, you volunteer, you help your family, you overcommit at work, or you try to be a super mom. Giving is good, but overgiving is when you give more than you are receiving. That always leads to burnout, emptiness, frustration, and resentment. It will always lead to those things because you cannot give more than you have received. Now, because we are children of God, we receive from on high. We receive manna. We receive an abundance that is beyond the material realm. And that's what actually allows us to give at such a capacity. But at some point, that can break. Even as close as our relationship is with God, right, it'll break because we're not in alignment with the universal laws that God created. God is always trying to give to you. But many givers try to store up the goodwill that they've earned by doing God's will for some heaven after earth when they die. I'm just going to give as much as I can, and I'm going to be poor here on earth because I'm going to get all my reward up in heaven. You think there's gold in heaven when heaven is a non-physical place? You think there's gold in heaven when heaven is, we go back into spiritual realm? Because if heaven was physical, then we would just pack up our bodies and go there, right? But we return to spirit, and you think there's gold up there? See, that's the imagery that they've given you. There's no physical substance in heaven, family. We are a completely different being. We return back to self. We return back to source, right? So there's no physicality. So they promised you gold and pearly this and gold that. There's nothing physical up there. And up there is not up there. Up there is right here. Kingdom of heaven is within you. Scripture says it. Jesus said it. But despite imagery, when we operate in images, people receive that and they get programmed really, really strongly. And so we have to get very clear on what the goal is. We're here to bring heaven on earth, not to rush to go to heaven, right? So God is always trying to give to you, but many givers try to store up the goodwill that they've earned by doing God's will for some heaven after earth when they die. The scripture says, on earth as it is in heaven in Matthew 6:10. The kingdom of heaven is here and now within you. The cycle of giving and receiving is an unbreakable universal law, but you have to participate in both acts. Learning how to receive allows you to give more. That is why we have to learn how to receive, so that we can give more. Giving feels good to you. As Acts 20:35 states, it is more blessed to give than to receive, but it does not acknowledge the receiving part of the equation, which allows you to continue giving more and more and more. Though it may sound counterintuitive, the way to give more is first receive more so that you can give more. Okay, this sounds counterintuitive. The way to give more is to first receive more so that you can give more. Otherwise, we go back to the results. You end up burned out, empty, frustrated, and resentful. Okay. We don't open ourselves to receive. When we don't open ourselves to receive, we rob someone else of the great feeling we get when we give our gift. So we get so much joy from giving our gift to other people. And then when we won't receive from them, or not even them directly, just receive in any other way, we're now robbing somebody of the joy that we get from when we give by not receiving. We are disrupting the universal cycle. We think we're facilitating by giving, but we're disrupting it when we don't participate in both acts and we don't receive in the same way that we give. This making sense? Okay. So perhaps it would be easier to receive if we define receiving as allowing someone else to give their gift to us rather than defining it as just us getting. That may be the blockage. When we define receiving as, oh, I'm just getting something. I don't deserve that. I don't need that, etc. Right? When we define receiving as just us getting, if we change that to say it is receiving is allowing someone else to give. Receiving is not us getting, because normally when we get, we don't keep it for ourselves. We are participating in the circulation. So let's define receiving as allowing someone else to give rather than us getting. And that might free some people up. It might break up the blockage that is there for people thinking that, well, I don't need anything. I got everything I need from God, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, how about you just create a space and be a space for somebody else to give? Because you know that giving brings you just somebody else to get joy from giving. Is this making sense? Receiving is not a sign of weakness or lack of capability. It is an awareness of who you are, what your gift is, and a demonstration of focus and trust in God that you don't all on your own. Okay? A lot of us are trying to be jacks of all trades so that we don't have to ask for help, so that we don't have to receive from other people. But if you stay in your lane, you stay in your God-given gift, then you get to benefit and be on the receiving end of other people's God-given gifts. And now you're experiencing life and you're having it more abundantly because you are receiving from the best. They are getting your best and you are getting their best. Be great at many things. You can literally only achieve mastery at 1, 2, or maybe 3 things. And so how about you get great at giving your gift and then outsource in a way, in a sense, everything else and actually receive from other people. For the rich and righteous, giving is our default, and we don't receive for only our own sake. We receive in order to give more. If you had more, you would give more, and that is precisely why you should have more. If you had more, you would give more, which is precisely why you should have more. Receiving is a skill that has to be developed, but we are programmed to be self-sacrificial and independent. Programs such as every man for himself, or it's me against the world, or if you want something done, do it yourself, or pick yourself up by your own bootstrap, or if it's to be, it's up to me, or survival of the fittest, or even the terminology single mom, all teach us that receiving is unlikely. Who are we trying to impress with our self-sacrifice? See, they painted this imagery of Jesus being this sacrificial leader. And so in order to be Christ-like, we end up trying to be sacrificial. Do we have to sacrifice? Yes, but we don't sacrifice our well-being. We sacrifice our old self. That is what has to die on the cross. Our old self is what has to die. The old wineskins, the flesh, that is what has to die so that we can ascend into our spiritual self. Okay? But we trying to be Christ-like because of many people's image of Christ, right? They end up hurting themselves on this journey to ascension and this journey to having the mind of Christ. What must be sacrificed is the belief that you have to and can do it all on your own without receiving. Okay? That is what has to be sacrificed. If your well runs dry, so will your wellness and that of everyone you are pouring into. If your well runs dry, okay, and there's no more to pour out because you have not received anything after you've poured out, then not only will your well run dry, but you will be not well, Okay, you will experience issues with your wellness, and everyone that you were pouring into will be empty. They will be empty. Okay, receiving an income is not just about money. It is all the good coming into your life that you allow. Okay, everybody type incoming. Good is incoming. Good is incoming. I see it. It is coming. Why? Because I put so much good out. I know good has to be coming. Good is incoming. God can only give to you according to your ability to receive. So you heard me say this before. If you approach God with the Dixie cup, then that's all God can give to you. If you approach God with the bowl, then that is the degree to which God can give to you. If you approach God with a vat, that's the extent that God can give to you, right? If you approach God with a well, right, that is the extent to which God can give to you. God is the infinite source of supply. God can fill any receptacle. But if you only approach God with a cup, that's all that God can pour into you. Okay? God can only give to you according to your ability to receive. And God gives to you through other people. If you lose faith in people, then you lose the ability for the source to get resources to you. If you lose faith in people, then you lose the ability for the source to get resources to you. Remember, you are a resource for the source, and in this, people are resources for the source. And if you lose faith in people, in their desire to also give their God-given gifts, then you lose the ability for source to get resources unto you. Okay? Money is one way that we can receive, but our ability to receive transpires in every area of our life, whether it's our ability to receive love, praise, gifts, help, feedback, etc. How many of you said somebody said, "Oh, you're so amazing"? No, I'm not. You deflect an affirmation. Somebody's trying to pour into you, and you deflect it. You coming out the grocery store, right? Or coming out the grocery store and your hands are full of bags, and you're trying to open the trunk with your foot, and somebody offers you help, and you, no, I got it. Right? We push away receiving when other people are trying to give. I was at Home Depot, and I had some lumber that I was putting into my car, and my hands were full, and some stuff was falling off the cart. And a guy pulled over and said, "Do you need help?" And my first inclination was, no. And I just had to say, Julian, just say yes. Accept the help. Accept the help. And I got a chance. He actually knew me from social media, and he's in real estate. He's a contractor. Got his information, and now if I need him on another job, I'll be able to reach out to him, right? And I know he'll be good. Why? Because he was helpful in a moment where he was getting nothing. He was helpful in a moment where he was getting nothing. That is the kind of contractor that I want. Okay. So money is one way to receive, but our ability to receive transpires in every area of our life, whether it's our ability to receive love, praise, gifts, help, feedback, etc. For now, let's just focus on how you've been receiving money. There are 3 types of buckets: a colander, a bucket, and a watering can. Okay. Which bucket do you think will receive the most water? Okay. And we're using water as a metaphor for wealth. You think a colander will see the most wealth, a bucket, or a watering can? Let's assume that they all have the same volume. They can all hold the same amount of water. Okay. The colander, right? A, right? We're looking at this diagram right here. The colander, right, has holes in it. It's what you might use to strain spaghetti or something like that. The colander receives water, but no matter how much water the colander receives, it immediately, unintentionally wastes it and ends up empty. Right? Because the colander has holes in it. So do you realize? See, a lot of people think that they just need more money, but do you realize that if you poured the entire ocean into the colander, it would still end up empty? So we know that more money is not your issue. The issue is that you have leaks in your financial system. You're not broke, but your financial system is broken. You could pour the entire ocean in the colander and it'd still be empty. Okay. Now, moving on to B. B, the bucket only receives water, and it only receives water and has no way to give. So the cycle of giving and receiving is broken. So you have a bucket but there's no edge on the bucket that encourages it to pour out. It is just a receiving function. Okay. Now the watering can has a receiving and a giving function, right? It has a space where you pour water into, and it is designed for that water to be poured out. It holds the water it receives temporarily, right? Only to intentionally pour it onto things that the gardener seeks to grow, right? The ideals, the ideas, the investments, the individuals, the institutions that I want to water and grow. This is why I have a watering can. I don't have a bucket. I'm not just receiving and putting the money in a savings account where it's doing nothing, right? I have a watering can, and the purpose of the watering can is not to hold water. It is so that I can intentionally channel the water and pour the water onto things that I want to nurture. This balance allows a cycle of giving and receiving indefinitely. So of these three, the one that gets the most wealth, because once I pour water into a bucket, and if it's not pouring any water out, then guess what? It can't receive anymore. It's full. Now we talk about, the bucket is running over, right? And we think that that is abundance. But now when you think about that, that's abundance at first, then it becomes wasteful. So when we think about ourselves, we want to be the watering can, because God keeps pouring into the watering can so that we, being the hands of God on earth, can actually channel that energy, in this case water, but when we're talking about it, we're talking about as well, that wealth can be channeled, that stored energy, that inert spiritual substance can be channeled towards individuals, ideals, ideas, institutions, and investments that we believe are doing good or God's work. Okay? The colander hates water. The bucket holds or hoards water, and the watering can helps water do what it was intended to do. So, do you hate money? Because when it comes in, it just goes out. You repel it with your beliefs and with your actions? Or do you hoard or hold money in a savings account like a bucket? Or are you like a watering can where you help money, you help this stored energy do what it was intended to do? Again, it's called currency because it's supposed to have a what? When you think about how you relate to money right now, which bucket are you being? Now, there are 3 steps to moving from colander to bucket to watering can. If you're a colander, first, you must stop all of the leaks. The colander asks for more money from God, but even if God pours the ocean into the colander, it will leak out. Luke 16:10-12 says, who trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much. So if you have not been trustworthy in handling worldly wealth, who will trust you with true riches? And if you have not been trustworthy with someone else's property, who will give you property of your own? This is precisely why some of you are in a poverty state of consciousness, because you have not demonstrated are great stewards of that which you have been given. So why would God channel more energy towards you, more resources towards you, if you've been wasteful in the resource that you have? Again, most people in the colander stage think that, I just need more money and that will solve my problems, but the holes are still there. The leaks are still there, okay? And so why would God give you more when you have not been a good the little that you do have? Are you appreciating all that you have already received, like the oxygen you are breathing right now, your eyes, your brain, your family, the roof over your head, the clothes in your closet, the money in your account, or the food you just ate? Many people think that once they get more money, they will automatically become a better steward, when the truth is that you must become a better steward of what you already have in order to have more money come unto you. Oh yeah, if I just got $1 million, I would know exactly how to manage it. No, you wouldn't, because you can't manage $1,000. You can't manage $10,000. So how are you going to manage $1 million in the right way? Okay. The colander doesn't have a money problem. They have a money mindset and money management problem. Some beliefs are causing the leaks, and they have to be plugged first. Okay. Now, once you stop the leaks, right, now essentially the colander is a bucket, right? It is the exact same thing. Once the leaks are stopped, you become a bucket. But we have to just hold and hoard water for our satisfaction or insecurity, right? Saving money is a demonstration of financial insecurity, not financial security, beyond your emergency fund. Okay. Water is meant to be used. It serves no good purpose sitting in a bucket. Okay. Water serves no good purpose sitting in a bucket. money in a bank so serve no good purpose, sitting in a savings account. As your bucket fills according to your belief, right? Because you can come with a Dixie cup, you can come with a bucket, you can come with a vat, right? You can come and approach God with different sizes of receptacle, right? So as your bucket fills according to your belief, you can begin to increase your bucket size. Which is your receiving ability. If your cup runneth over, your cup is either too small to receive or you're not giving enough. So your cup is running over because God is giving to you, but you're not getting it out into the world. You're not putting it in use fast enough. So this is why your cup is running over. And then you see water being wasted. You see money being wasted because you're not using it fast enough. Okay. Again, this is beyond your emergency fund. Yes. Go put a bucket aside for your emergency fund for your safety and security. But after that, the resource that you have coming into you is meant to be used. So if your cup runneth over, your people just say, oh, my cup is running over. Yeah, well, you are wasting a lot of resources, okay? That is a demonstration of temporarily that I tapped into something. Now it's time to grow. It's time to grow my receiving ability because my cup is running over. That is the indication, okay? So if your cup runneth over, your cup is either too small to receive or you're not giving enough. Water, energy, or money should not go to waste. You now have more than enough, and you are meant to give from your abundance. Remember, receiving to give, not just for the sake of receiving. We are increasing our capacity to do more good with what we've been given. Go bigger so that you can give bigger. Everybody type that. Go bigger so that I'm going to go bigger so that I can give bigger. I'm going to go bigger so that I can give bigger. I'm going to go bigger so that I can give bigger. The reason you may not be receiving more is because you have not used what you already have. Why would God give you more when you haven't properly used that which you already have? Okay, this is how it works. Again, if the bucket is full, then there's no room for God to give you more. Okay, so we are not the storehouse. God is the storehouse. We are the servants of God and are supposed to use what we've been given to do more good and more God on this earth. So now that your bucket is full, you can begin giving like a watering can. But we only want to give proportionally to our level of receiving. Okay. Again, I started off this chapter talking about many of us being over givers. You only want to give at the level of your receiving. So your receiving actually dictates your ability to give. Because if you give more than you've received, then we go back to burnout, emptiness, resentfulness, and frustration. So your receiving ability actually dictates and determines your giving ability. You are never meant to be empty, whether that is from being a colander or because of overgiving. It is impossible to break the universal law of giving and receiving without creating an imbalance somewhere else. Okay. So if you overgive, it may manifest physically as health issues or financially as debt. Some of you are in debt right now because you loaned somebody some money that you did not have to loan. Some of you are feeling illness in your life right now because you're overgiving in some other domain, and now it's coming back and you're bearing the cost in your physical abilities, in your health. Okay. You cannot break the balance, no matter how hard you try. The universal law of giving and receiving without creating imbalance will create an imbalance somewhere if you are not receiving at the level of your giving. Okay. So look at your health and look at your wealth to see if I'm overgiving in some place. Some of you are overgiving at your job. You're giving more than they're actually paying you, right? They're paying you $50,000 a year, but you're giving them $80,000 to $100,000 worth of work and value. You're treating it like this is your lottery ticket when you need to be giving them the energy at the level of the year. You don't need to be staying late. You don't need to be doing things extra. So now you can take that extra energetic capacity and actually put it into your side hustle, to your purpose-based business, right? You must be giving more than you're receiving somewhere else, okay? You don't always have to receive from the same source. You rarely receive directly from the source that you're giving to. Of course, in a marriage, you want that to be reciprocal right there in that relationship. But we're looking at giving and receiving from a universal standpoint. You could be giving to the youth, but if you're giving to the youth, you have to be receiving over here because the youth may not have capacity to give back to you. They're going to give you hugs, smiles, tell you how you changed their life. You're going to have mentees come back 10 years later and find you, etc. You're going to get that. But that may not sustain you for 10 years to do the work. So if you're giving over here to a group of people who don't have the capacity to give back, then you have to find a way to receive somewhere else. Okay. So this is how we are intricately weaved together, because now somebody else has to be giving to you, right? In a way where they might actually not be giving, receiving back from you directly. And then they have to go, right, receive from somewhere else. This is how everything is tied together. So if you are overgiver, it may manifest physically as issues or financially as debt. The substance is not yours. This money is not ours, okay? Our name is not on it, and we do not take it with us to the other realm, right? But you get to be a steward of it and use it to manifest by pouring it into and onto seeds you want to see grow that you believe will bear good fruit. While doing good in God's work, you must maintain the balance of giving and receiving, working and resting, eating and fasting, teaching and learning, leading and following, loving and being loved, paying and getting paid. This is how we create harmony. Everybody type that, HAR-money. This is how we create harmony with money. This is how we create harmony with money. All right. So a friend of mine, I was telling her that I was going to be tapping into my inner child a lot more, and that the theme for this upcoming year was going to be, I was going to be building community in real life, and that I would be doing tapping into my Blackboard joy to the little Julian. And she said, just make sure that in the spaces that you go into, that you aren't taking on any leadership, where you can just be a participant and receive, and that you don't have to be a giver. I mean, I'm known for who I am. I'm naturally a leader, but I also must balance out these spaces with places that I just get to receive. I just get to be a participant. I get to be poured into, not me doing the pouring all the time. And I thought that was very, very insightful, right? And then speaking of a watering can, there's this video that I saw on Instagram where it was actually 4 watering cans set up like this, like this, like this, and like this. And there was a water hose pouring into one. And because of the way that they were designed, when the water hose was pouring into one, it was that one would fill up and it would naturally pour into this one, and then that one would fill up and then naturally, and then they were just pouring in to each other. And I really believe that that is a demonstration of how God wants us to operate, that God is the hose. It is the source of supply, right? And when we are in this cycle of giving and receiving, we're giving and receiving our gifts, and then it comes back around to us, right? So let me see if I can get I hope you can see the imagery, but a watering can. So a hose was in the watering can right here, right? It was in the watering can and it was going in, and then because it was full, water was coming out the spout, right? But that spout was pouring into another watering can and it was filling that up, and then water was coming out of that one spout, and it was 4 of them lined up in a square. And I believe that is ultimately the vision of what we are seeking to create. We're going to seek to create that within our family first. Ultimately, I will want the world to look like that. But within our family first, we want to facilitate this cycle of giving and receiving. We know that you have gifts. Some of you aren't aware of their gifts. We need to know what those are, because that's going to create the greatest volume of pour. That's where you can pour the most. And then you pour those gifts into the people who need them. And then you will have needs, right? And there are spaces where you need to receive, and we want to create the community that actually supplies those needs. I believe that when we do this in the right way, that all of our needs can be met within the context of our community, knowing that our one source is God. We're all tapped in to that source where the hose is coming from. We all have hoses coming into us, and we are able to pour into each other. That is the ultimate goal. All right.
All right. This concludes day 57. Day 57 is officially in the books. What are your takeaways? One of my takeaways for today's reading, man, was the 3-bucket analogy. I thought that was real good. When he used water as a metaphor for wealth, you're not receiving wealth, you're not distributing wealth accordingly, but we're using it in the form of water. Your first bucket is the colander, where you are receiving, but you are also losing because the bucket is filled with holes. So there's waste there. The colander hates water, the bucket hoards water, and the watering can does what it was intended to do. The colander hates water, the bucket hoards water, and the watering can does what it was intentionally to do. And we have to learn to transition, if we're in one of these categories, ultimately to transition to the watering can, If you're a colander, as soon as you get something, it's being wasted. Once you transition over to colander to bucket, you have initially been receiving, but you've also been wasting. So now you've transitioned over to the bucket where you starting to waste less, but now you end up hoarding because now you're not giving. You're receiving, but you're not giving. And at some point, your bucket will be full, and then it will runneth over, and then you'll be wasting again. And from here, you want to transition over to the watering can, where you are equipped to receive and give, receive wealth and distribute wealth. That was my takeaway for today. What are your takeaways? Once again, if you're new, this is your first time tapping in. Hope you enjoyed the reading. Also, like and subscribe to the YouTube page so you can receive future notifications and alerts on the next readings that we have coming up. And go to the YouTube page, check out the previous readings. We're on day 57 right now. So there are still 56 days of content that you can use to catch up on this reading. And make sure you click the link below to go ahead and order your book, man. Even when this challenge is over, you're still going to want to have this book in your possession so you can resort back to it whenever you're feeling down and low or you fell off the wagon. This book is going to bring you back in. Always keep this book on hand. When you order the book, you get 5 for the price of 1. So make sure you click that link and check that out. Go ahead and grab your copy of the book so you can have one for yourself and then share others with family and friends. Once again, today's reading was all about giving and receiving. So go get yourself a book, 5 for the price of 1. That way you can share others out with our family and friends, and they too can be rich and righteous. Once again, day 57 is officially in the books. Look forward to seeing you guys on the next read. Don't forget to go back and check out the previous reads. We're on Money Commandment number 9. And this was the last reading of Money Commandment number 9, how the rich and righteous attract money. Our next reading, we will start Money Commandment number 10. So look forward to tapping in with you guys there. If you're new, make sure you come back and check us out. Other than that, day 57 is officially in the books. Salute.